Welcome everyone to our weekly Monday Mindset Live Zoom call. If this is your very first time, go ahead and let us know in the comments. Just tell us it's your first time coming. Also, if you would like Zoom reminders, if you'd like to get Zoom reminders or email reminders, let us know and we'll get you the link so you can get those reminders so you don't miss one of these calls. And finally, if you are watching the replay, do play along, type whatever you might need. If you're watching on YouTube, type in Zoom or type in first time. Again, interact with us. We will respond to you there as well, and we'll get you what you need. Now, today, I'd like to talk about reaching new heights, really with anything in life, but more specifically in your business. And how often do we feel things seem so out of reach, right? How often do we feel like things seem overwhelming? And so much so that sometimes, we just want to quit. Listen, I know I've been there myself, but quitting has never been an option for me. And I'm guessing not likely for you as well. So what do we do? Well, as you saw in the picture and the intro, you climb higher. You climb higher. And what I'm talking about is taking your game to a higher level. It's fun when I put out the images and I pick images every week. And this week we were actually hanging Christmas lights and Colette snapped a picture and she sent it to me. And that's why we used it, because we're always taking things to the next level. We're always trying to go higher. We're always trying to do better. And when I was actually growing my business, when I was really struggling with my agency to grow and scale, I always felt like I couldn't achieve the heights I really wanted to. And in fact, I often felt paralyzed in my business. I don't know if you guys have felt that way. Literally, like I couldn't breathe sometimes. I couldn't move. And being paralyzed means you're not doing anything. You're not climbing higher. You're not moving forward. You're just kind of in a funk. And that is exactly, and that's why I use the example. That's exactly how I felt the very first time I climbed that very high ladder you see. I was going to be going up that great big ladder to really put up the Christmas lights. And I got to be honest, our house has a very high peak. It's about 28 feet high, in fact. That is technically almost 3 stories. And it was a really scary thought for me to get up on that ladder the very first time. And actually, I almost didn't do it. I felt paralyzed with fear. And it's not because I'm afraid of heights. I'm not afraid of heights. But I started thinking about everything that could go wrong. I started thinking about all the things that could happen. I started thinking about all the negativity instead of, in fact, thinking about the positive, thinking about how wonderful the house was going to look and how great I was going to feel every time I drove home and saw my house lit up, or every time I went outside and saw those beautiful lights. Instead, I was paralyzed with fear because I started having that stinking thinking. I started going to all the bad places we all go when we're afraid of something. And the very first year we moved into this house, we built it almost 17 years ago. I remember how exhausting hanging those lights used to be, both physically and emotionally. Literally, my legs would shake, not because I was just physically getting tired, because I was scared. I was afraid to be up on that ladder because my mind kept going through all the things. Our inexperience with hanging those lights meant we also made a bunch of mistakes. And I know I'm using a story to kind of get to where I'm going here, but that experience made it worse. And what I mean by that is, I remember going up that ladder and getting to the top, and I'm putting the lights up, and there's a missing clip, which meant I had to go back down the ladder, get extra clips, put them in my pocket, go back up the ladder. And then I would hang a few more and dang it, a light was missing because maybe the year before it had broke or something, we had taken it out. I had to go back down the ladder and get that light. Now imagine all that up and down, plus that ladder's heavy and we had to take it down and put it up and take it down and extend it and put it up. It was hard, daunting work. And I know I teach in many of our programs, don't do what other people can do. But this is something I started doing back when I didn't have the money and I didn't have the right mindset. And so I would have never dreamed of hiring someone to do something like that. But over time, I started learning all the little things like put clips in your back pocket, put some lights in the other pocket, go ahead and, have good shoes on, make sure I have good sturdy shoes and not be wearing Crocs or flip-flops, etc. I learned over time all the things that would actually make the task of hanging our Christmas lights easier, of ultimately making less trips up and down that ladder. You see, we became seasoned pros. The practice, the learning, the understanding made us better and better every year at putting up those Christmas lights. And this year, I used it as an example because we did it. We just did it last week. And I spent 2.5 hours out in 75-degree, beautiful weather with Colette, laughing and having a good time, going up and down the ladder. Yes, getting some great exercise, but my legs don't shake because I'm not afraid anymore. We have safety procedures. We have everything in our pockets. We know exactly what we're doing. And now it's actually fun and enjoyable to me. And I could hire it out, but I still choose to do it myself because I take great pride and I love doing it. And my business was the same way. And that's where I want to segue here. Initially, I had many fears and I had doubts, and all those things paralyzed me. And of course, just like with the lights, I made a lot of mistakes. And I obviously lacked the right tools, right? Having the right ladder, wearing the right shoes, having the clips in my pocket and the lights in my pocket, wearing a hat. So when you touch the roof at the top, the little shingle pebbles didn't go in my eyes. All of those things were mistakes that I learned and then mitigated, right? And the same with my business. I made a lot of mistakes and I lacked the right tools. But here's the thing, over time, that changed, right? And today I'm going to talk about how the right tools, the right education, and the right experience can take your business to greater heights. I'll talk about how software and training were very important in the growth of my agency, and how experience, even that I borrowed from others, helped me do things quicker and easier. But I also want to share with you guys some of the not so obvious tools I needed for success as well. So let's start talking about each of the tools I feel is important as you climb that ladder and grow your business and take it to greater heights. So I'm going to start with knowledge. All the time, if you can imagine, we have to have the right knowledge. If we're doing SEO, we have to know SEO, of course. We have to learn it. And most people don't start by just hiring the right people. Obviously, in a business, if you're going to run it, if you're going to manage it, you need to know enough about it to hire the right people, and then know enough about it to manage those people and make sure they're doing a good job, make sure they're doing it in an efficient, timely manner. So the number one tool I always say you have to start with is knowledge. You have to go out and know what you're going to do. Figure out what you're going to do, whether it is, am I going to do SEO? Am I going to be a web designer? Am I going into social media? Will I be into review management and review software? Whatever it is we want to do, we want to gain at least a modicum of knowledge about what we want to sell. Now, where can that knowledge come from? Sometimes it's places like right here on our Monday Mindset. We're often talking about different things that are really good things to know about. You can take courses, and we'll get to training here in a second. You could follow mentors and gurus, or you could just get on the internet and read and learn. But whatever it is you want to do, we have to start with knowledge. We have to talk about what and figure out the what. The next thing is often the how, training. So in my toolbox, the second tool I would often say is most important is training. We have to get trained on whatever skill set we're lacking. In my business, when I first started, I was a very, very proficient web developer. I was a programmer and a coder, and I taught and executed and did those things for so many years. I felt like there wasn't anything I could learn. Nothing was farther from the truth. When I started my agency, sure, I knew how to build a website, but I had no idea how to attract the clients I needed. I had no idea how to actually sell to the clients. I had no idea how to fulfill in a more systemized approach. I also had to learn how to collect money and do my taxes. Man, there was so much stuff that I had to learn. Again, it felt overwhelming. So as always, and as I like to always say, we start with one thing first. We have to go get trained on whatever it is we think we're lacking. Once we get our training, once we put that training into effect, I think you'll start feeling a difference of confidence, right? So we go out and we get the knowledge. We kind of know what we want to do. We're set. Then we go out and we get trained on what we need to do. So we start looking at the how we're going to do something. Once we get trained, oftentimes the next thing, right? The next thing is number 3, the software. So we got the knowledge. Then we went and got trained. Now there's always going to be software that can make the job easier. And most people start with the software without the knowledge or the training. They're looking for that easy button, so to speak. They're looking for something that they can just press and it does it all for them. In fact, once we have the knowledge and the right training, selecting the software is actually easier and you're more effective at doing so because you know exactly what you need now. Whether it be getting software for SEO like Ahrefs or Screaming Frog or any of the softwares we use, or if it's I'm building websites, so I need WordPress, but more importantly, what theme am I going to use? Am I going to use Divi? Am I going to use Elementor or Oxygen? We have to really hone in on the software. And if we can find software that makes our job easier, keep this in mind. Time is money. In our program, our Agency Fast Track X Success program, one of the cornerstones of what we train is time equal money. Time is more valuable than money. So if we can find some software that can do something easier and take minutes away from my time, from staff time, from contractor time, and we do the cost benefit analysis. Now, I'm not going to get into that, but that's just basically saying, if I spend this much money on software and I was spending this much money on physical labor or process or people doing the work, if the software will save me money, the cost benefit is there to purchase that software. So when we think of software like Asana, that's the software I use in my agency to manage the projects. Sure, I could have used an Excel spreadsheet, and that's what I did in the beginning. Or I could have used a regular old notepad and wrote down my tasks. But as you grow your company, as you climb higher, you're going to find that as you bring more people into the fold, you need a more organized way to manage those folks. And so the software, the right software, can start taking the what and the how and turning it into effective processes. So the next thing on the list is communication. We have to have proper communication methods, channels, and styles. Remember, we're starting agencies, we're starting businesses, we're becoming the CXO, right? The chief X officer of our companies. And in doing so, communication is important. What do I mean by that? Well, a lot of people use different methods. I use Skype. We use Skype in our company. Some people use Slack. Other people use other tools. You have to pick up a communication method and pattern. And the reason I say pattern is when I started my business, I would hire folks to do something and I wanted it off my plate. So I would hire someone, pitch something over to them. And then when that work was due, I was often surprised when it wasn't done and there was no communication. But you see, communication goes two ways, right? It goes both ways. And if we're not communicating with our teams, if we're not communicating with the people we work with or the people we work for, we are going to struggle in our business. So the communication methods I speak of really are two ways, right? It's both for our teams and communication with our customers. Now, down the road, as we get more elaborate in our businesses, we're going to set up sequencing and we're going to set up processes and we're going to set up, automation to handle a lot of that communication. And maybe you buy tools, software, like Asana, that also manages that. So when somebody tags me in a process, I automatically get an email. That's nice, isn't it? That's communication. So I got a couple more, but let's kind of go back to the top. We gain knowledge. We go out and get specialized training. We find the software we need, and then we implement communication. When we have those four things, the next thing that we need is process to manage everything we just talked about. For instance, if we have knowledge, we have to be able to transfer that knowledge to other people. If I'm doing something today in my business, I have to be able to show someone else how to do what it is I do, or guess who's going to be doing it forever? So the process might be to transfer that knowledge. The same with training. Maybe I've been trained in something, and again, I know I'm going to have to train others in my organization, in my business. So I'm going to go ahead and create processes around that training. The same with software and fulfillment. We create the processes that really help us create the structure in our organization, in our companies, in our business that help us get things done, not just on a timely basis, but at all. What do I mean by that? Listen, I forgot to charge a customer once, like the whole fee. I built a website. The website was done. The customer was happy, gave me a 5-star review. Life went on. A year later, I realized I never billed the customer. I never charged the customer. Embarrassing, having to go back to a customer with your hand out going, oops. Not only do you feel like a fool, but it's a bad way to run your business. And so now there's a process. There's actually a step in our process where we ask, have we charged the customer? Have we got hosting fees set up? Do we have recurring fees set up? Whatever it is, we've created process to make sure we can do our last This is our last one, fulfillment. So I'm going to talk about fulfillment, but let me recap: knowledge, training, software, communication, processes, and finally, a solid fulfillment strategy. These six tools help me scale my business, help me climb to great heights, and help me get to where I am today. Now, fulfillment covers a ton of other things, right? We need processes for fulfillment. We need people to fulfill. We need all sorts of things in our fulfillment pipeline. We have to start thinking about that. And that's why it's last. People are always surprised when I'm asked, Lisa, what's the first thing I should focus on in my business? And I say, sales, lead gen. Oh, I can't do that because if I get a customer, I won't know how to fulfill it. Well, why would you learn how to fulfill something if you're not sure you can even get a customer yet? Right? So for me, sales and lead gen is the number one thing I would go after. So I need those tools. I need knowledge to do it, training, software, etc. So when I tease, what's my top three things, top three tools? Honestly, it's knowledge, training, and software. From there, everything else will be communicated, processed, and fulfilled. But I can't do the last three if I don't have the first three. Most people start at the bottom of this list. They start with fulfillment. I need to know how to do something. I need to know all the steps to do that thing. Really? When I go down a new vertical, I'm not even sure I'm going to sell it yet. I'm not even sure anyone's going to be interested. So why would I build the whole thing out before I even know anything about my customer? I need knowledge. I need to go find out about my customer. When you're looking at your tools, and I could have added, trust me, I could have added 20 or 30 more tools to this list, I promise you. But keep it in these buckets, right? Knowledge, training, software, communication, processes, and fulfillment, right? And I'll say that one more time in case you're writing that down. Knowledge, training, software, communication methods, processes, and fulfillment. Those are the 6 buckets you really want to focus on. If you start getting those things right, that ladder, just like when I got all my stuff right, that ladder is not daunting. It's not scary. No matter how high you climb, you've put in a safety net. And that's the key. Before I had the right tools, before I had the right training, my business felt overwhelming. Once I started putting the right tools in my toolbox, I literally took my business to the next level. And for me, my toolbox was not short on knowledge. It wasn't in certain areas, but in other areas, it was very short, right? I was a genius programmer, right? I was a great web designer, but I was not a good business person. And I was not a good salesperson. I had a lot to learn. So don't think knowledge is just about the actual product. It's about everything. And those are all the tools we need to put in our toolbox to go to the next level. The same goes for every tool I mentioned. Start thinking about each one of those and ask yourself, do I have everything I need in each of these? Can I find easier, simpler ways to get things done? Is there a shortcut to get where I need to go? And what you're going to find there are. And now that we know all the tools we need to climb to the great heights we all want to climb, we've all dreamed about where we want to be in our business, right? We all know where we want to be. What's the first step? What is the first step? So when we look at that giant, high, daunting, scary ladder, what's the first thing we should do? In my opinion, the very first thing is to assess where you are today. Take inventory of your tools. Look in your toolbox and almost want to say, make a list of everything you have. Write down all the knowledge you have. Write down all the training you have. Even if you haven't gone through it yet, how many of us have bought shiny objects and there they sit on our shelf? Go back and look. Is there something you already own, something you already have that you could tap into? Look at the software you have available to you. Look at your communication methods. What are you using today? How is that working for you? If you have processes, look at them. And if you have already decided how to fulfill on everything, where are you today? Take stock, right? Assess where you are right now. And then ask yourself this question. What is the most important thing I need right now? Knowing the order is knowledge. Do I have all the knowledge I need? Do I have the training I need? And remember, training can often be, I didn't name Agency Fast Track the way it is because I want it to take a long time for people to get to where they want to go. We want to find shortcuts, borrow people's success, borrow people's authority, borrow people's knowledge, borrow the tools of others. But first you have to figure out, what tool do I need to solve first? If I'm no good at sales and I can't get leads, then I don't need fulfillment processes yet, because I need to be spending all my time building that toolbox. Once I get that squared away, then I can move on to the next toolbox. We need to find the right resources, the right tools, the right training, but for every person, it's different. Man, I would love to come in here and say, this is exactly what everybody needs to do. But that's not true, because everybody's different and everybody has different skill sets and everybody has different experience and training and knowledge. We own different tools. We have different types of customers. But what we all have in common is this. We all want to succeed. We all want to take our businesses to the next level, right? To go higher, to climb higher. One of the ways I feel is the most important, right? Knowledge is key. Got to have the knowledge. The next step is training. And am I saying that because we have training? No. I'm saying that because that is what I needed in my business. Sure, I bought training. Right from the beginning, I was buying training, but I wasn't buying the right training. I wasn't in the right program. I had tools and I had shiny objects, but I didn't deal with my baggage. I didn't change my mindset for a very long time. And that is what was holding me back. So yeah, I'm definitely going to talk about our program just for a sec, but get the right tools in your toolbox and you will fly up that ladder with a safety net. And that's key. So this is a part where I do talk about our programs. And we have two. And both programs are designed to kind of start where somebody is. Some folks need to really change their mindset. They really need to get the basics of business. That program is Agency Fast Track X Success. Other people, they're good there. They just need more systems and processes and tools and the software, an exact blueprint. That's going to be our 10X program. But here's the deal. I don't assume you guys can just guess where you're at. What we do at Agency Fast Track is we allow you guys to schedule one-on-one strategy sessions with me, not with someone on my team, with me. We sit down for an hour. We talk about where your business is currently, where you would like to take it, and then we create a strategy to get it there. That's free. You can run off and go implement your strategy on your own. Don't need to buy any of our programs. But I'm going to tell you, if I think there's a program that's a good fit for you, I'll tell you about it. Then it's up to you to make that decision if you think it's a good fit. That's how we work at Agency Fast Track. And that's how you need to think about your business. I need to assess where I am today, figure out where I want to be tomorrow, and then decide what are the things I need, right? So what are the things I need? What knowledge am I lacking? What training am I lacking? What software am I lacking, both in attaining and training and scaling up? Do I have the right communication in place? Do I have my processes built? And do I have a solid fulfillment strategy? Now there's more. I could go on. There's more client retention and all sorts of stuff. But for right now, to grow your business, those are the 6 tools you need in your toolbox. Assess that. Do you have those? What parts you're missing? And then go out and solve those things, right? One by one. How do we climb a ladder? Step by step. We can't skip steps. If we do, we run the risk of falling. We can go up, we can come down. It's very linear. And that's why I used it as an example, because as we climb to the heights in our business, keep that in mind, one step at a time. That's all we can do. Okay, I hope you find these sessions motivational. I hope they pump you up for your upcoming week. I always tell folks, listen, when you get off this call, go look at what are you lacking in your business this week? What is the number one thing you can do today, not tomorrow, not the next day, today, that will make the greatest impact in your business? Start working on that thing. And then you can start reaching the heights you want. Week after week, you come here, you get motivated, you get pumped, and you go work on that thing in your business. Guys, I know I don't let you ask questions in these sessions. I don't let you guys talk. Unfortunately, we reserve that for our programs. We have plenty of talk time. We have sessions every single week in our programs where you come and ask questions and get clarity and things like that. So if you are interested and you are not currently in one of our programs, go ahead and type the word strategy in your comments. Type the word strategy in the comments and we'll set you up with a one-on-one session. If you want reminders for these meetings, type Zoom and we'll get you the Zoom invite where you can sign up for either SMS or email reminders. And finally, if this is your first time here, 100% type in the comments first. We'd like to welcome you to our community. Okay, everyone, thanks again for coming. I try to keep these as short as possible so you guys can get out there and get working. I hope this really, really motivated you, got you pumped for the week. Have an amazing, prosperous week, everyone, and I will see you guys next week.